Thank you. Thank you, His Worship. Councillors of the St. Mary Municipal Corporation and members of the administrative staff of the MC and the other supporting agencies that participate in the monthly meetings of the Municipal Corporation. And it's good to see that the audience this morning consists significantly of a number of students. The media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. First of all, the comments of the mayor about the world and all the nice things that has been said by the mayor doesn't mean that anything else will happen. Because I don't want to be accused of giving anything because we are in a by-election. So I am mindful of anything that I say today might be misinterpreted as being used as a means to buy votes. But I'll come to that in a little while. The town of Port Maria continues to be a nightmare. The importance of this town seems to have been forgotten by those who make decisions. Coming here this morning, I was contemplating what it is I could say to the councillors and staff and to the wider parish of St. Mary that you would not have heard before. The importance of any major town such as Port Maria, the linkage of the town to the North Coast and to Kingston makes it perhaps one of the most important rural communities in the country. But as the town gotten that kind of attention, the town lacks a number of vital facilities. The market, which I must apologize to the council and to the people of St. Mary, the work has not yet started on the market because of certain technical challenges in terms of the documentations. Town is up without a fire station. The town has the kind of infrastructure that once you cry, it's flooded out. So we need to examine whether or not the priorities are actually the ones that needs attention, whether or not we are doing the right things using the limited resources that are available to those who are in a position to use those resources. The reason why I've started on this note, as I said to the councillors yesterday, those who were in attendance at the meeting in Mandeville, and when I did the launch of Local Government Month from Jamaica House, I emphasized the importance of community development and the role of the Ministry of Local Government. It is not just the Ministry of Local Government, it is the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development. So holistically, the interests of the town of Port Maria is of vital importance to the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development. There are some mayors who, out of their allocation, provide what they call some assistance for, what you call it, town, what you call it, town, yeah. Some allocation for township. I don't know, in essence, what that can really do. Because just looking at the town, there needs to be a much more proactive approach to Port Maria. And I'm going to ask the mayor to have your director of planning to sit with the technical officers in the ministry to look at what, within the ambit of what we have, to see what can be the first step. The market and the fire brigade is a must. Dwight, you said that the contract is at NCC for the market. I have told them that here before already, you know, 1 year ago. Yeah. But this time is, the first time it was for real. This time any further this time around with the contract for the market. The fire brigade is on track. The designs have been completed. The funds are in place. And JSIF, who we are working closely with, is now ready to proceed once we are able to provide certain documentations to JSIF. So those are two critical areas. The other one is the infirmary. We are spending some $26 million to construct a new drop-in facility on the 13? Sorry, think I told you that again. Can't give it the other one. We are spending just over $13 million to construct this drop-in facility on the site of the infirmary. St. Mary is one of four across. Oh, Claude Stewart. Okay, Park. St. Mary is one of 4 parishes that have benefited from this allocation. Now, the purpose of this facility will go a far way in working with the Poor Relief Department and all the other stakeholders in the parish. The question of roads, Mayor, is a burning issue. And if I ask all the councillors here, what are your #1 priority? What would you tell me? Oh, you don't have any, good. Roads is an issue. I did yesterday outline the approach that the government will be taking as it looks to improve the conditions of parochial roads across the respective municipalities. When that is finished, St. Mary will have its fair share of road repairs. But it's one thing for us to do the roads, Mayor. And I don't believe that just throwing down some barber green on a road is the right way to go. Roads must now be constructed in a way that you put in channel and sidewalk so you allow the water to run and run freely. So we can't just spend the scarce resources just by throwing down Barber Green. That in itself is not going to help the situation. The road network in the parish is large. You have a whole lot of roads, Mayor, in the parish. And there are some roads that have not seen the light of day for probably more than 30 years. They are not even bridle track anymore. So one of the things that the ministry is going to be looking at, working with the municipal corporations, some of these roads, it is going to take an eternity to restore them. So in most cases, the best thing to do, Mayor, is to abandon some of them if it doesn't have too much effect on some communities, then that is the way to go. But to presently, you know, I was in Clarendon a couple weeks ago, and I went on 2 roads. And the 2 roads that I went on, Mayor, would take the entire budget of the Ministry of Local Government for 2 years just to fix one of the roads. And that is because there are no proper drainage system. If you take a town like Port Antonio, like Anato Bay, which I'm going to be later on this afternoon wearing a different color green. If you take Anato Bay and the problems of Anato Bay, you will realize that a lot of road work has been done. But because of how the water table exists in the parish, it makes it difficult. So it means that the kind of approach that we have to take in constructing roads has to be looked at seriously. The role of the councillors cannot be overstated. I know councillors continue to lament the fact that they're not getting as much as they want to. On my way coming here this morning, I have spoken to about 15 councillors on my way coming here this morning from all across the country, raising concerns who want to know why and when and where and how. But Mayor and St. Mary, you have to help yourselves. The ministry will not be able to provide all the resources for you. You have your own source revenue, you have property taxes, you're not doing as well as you ought to. Not that you're doing badly, but you're not doing as well as you ought to. You have trade license. You have building fees. There are wide areas of own source revenues that are at your disposal. But not just here in St. Mary, but the wider municipalities across the country is not doing well in terms of own source revenues. And if the local authorities are able to collect even 40% of the revenues that are outstanding, then the Ministry of Local Government wouldn't have to be struggling to find money to support the work of the local authorities. And Mayor, I am urging you and the councillors to go on an extensive drive to collect outstanding revenues. If you look at the town of Port Maria, I would be confident that probably 6 out of every 10 are not living up to their obligations by paying their trade license. And trade license is a major earner of revenue to the local authorities. I don't know if you have much building going on, but whatever goes on in terms of building, again, that is an area that we're losing out. A whole lot of dance is being held now. between Dr. Dunn and Dr. Alexis is putting up so much billboards across the parish. How much money you're getting from that? They must pay for advertising. The two candidates should submit to the council a list of all their advertising boards, and then the council makes a decision whether you want to waive the fee or not. Agree, Mayor?
Yes, sir. Yeah, boss.
But these are our revenues. These are revenues that the council need to step up its approach on. The question of public cemeteries is not a burning issue. Almost every parish in the country now is running out of burial space. St. Anne has asked me to close one public cemetery. I can't close the cemetery. I can't give the instructions to close the cemetery until I am placed in a position to say that this is where public burial will take place after the cemetery is closed. Cemeteries are, and I want to be careful what I am saying. So, I better not say it, because if I say it, I might get into trouble and the mayor might be upset if I say it. But cemeteries, I rather say it. Cemeteries were not established. Public cemeteries were not established to become public cemeteries were not established to earn revenue. They are not revenue earning areas. It is a service that the local authority must provide. And that is why you have what is known as pauper burial. So when one dies and can't bury themselves, it is the responsibility of the local authority through the poor relief department. But that does not mean that those who can afford. The point I'm making is that a lot of MCs complain that the cemeteries are not making enough money. While you will need revenues to maintain the cemeteries, it should not be at the expense of providing the service, because it is a service that you have the responsibilities, the right of every citizen when they die. If they cannot afford the private facility, that the local public facilities must be made available to them. And Mayor, this is an area that we need to look at to see where you are. How much public cemeteries you have in the parish? But you're not running out of burial space. So.
In some of them, like Port Maria and Wellanata, we have established a new section, so that's fine. In Retreat, that one is closed. So some of them are out of space. Although Port Maria has been full forever since I became a councillor, we're still burying in there.
So I hope you understand the importance of that. The other issue I want to touch on before I get a little bit more controversial is the question of street lights and road signs. Presently, the Jamaica Public Service Company is retrofitting a number of street lights across the island. A part of the the license that was granted to the Jamaica Public Service Company. And the agreement was for us to change from the whole antiquated light system that we have to energy efficient lighting system. The project is going to be stretched over a 2-year period. I'm not in a position to say where St. Mary falls on the list. But we are expecting that when this is done, we are going to see significant reduction in what we pay for streetlights at the present moment. It is fair to say, and I won't say the amount that is outstanding, but we do owe a significant amount of money to the Jamaica Public Service Company for streetlights. The other burning issue, Mayor and councillors, is the question of domestic water, standpipes. We are owing the National Water Commission close to $800 million for standpipes. And right across the country, a lot of the standpipes that exist are not offering service to communities. They are used for car wash, they are used for cook shops, and some of them is used to fill tanks that they go back and sell the people for the water. St. Mary's high on the list. We're going to be calling in the CEO and the technical officers, and Mayor, we're going to ask the councillors that I'm putting you on notice from now. I have given instructions that no further funds will be released to the local authorities for standpipe payment until we know exactly what is it that exists and what is being paid for, because it is totally unacceptable that social water should be costing the ministry so much money, and we are not in a position to account fully for the number of standpipes across the country. So I'm going to ask you, Mayor, and your technical team and the councillors, the quicker you can identify and submit your list of standpipes and a full detail, and the letter that was sent to the CEO from the ministry outline what is required. And as soon as we are able to get that, once we have concluded the assessment, then we will start to pay, send back the funding. But you know, I want to level with you. In most cases, a lot of the MCs use the funds that come to do other things. And because of that, the bill keep climbing. And there are many standpipes across this country, not just in St. Mary, that has been abandoned over years, not working, but we are still being charged for those standpipes. And we're going to be engaging the National Water Commission in an in-depth discussion to look at, and so we can give the necessary instructions for some of these standpipes to be disconnected. We cannot at a time like this, councillors, and I'm speaking to you now, honestly expect that we have the resources to do all the things that you want us to do, but then there is a waste of these resources. You have thousands of standpipe running to waste. Some of us, when we visit our divisions, we see it. We don't do nothing about it. And it's not free water. We have to pay for the water. It is not free. And there's a culture of abuse in this country of state resources because people feel that, well, you know, somebody have to pay for it, is not me. And it becomes our responsibility, but there comes a point in time where we have to stop somewhere. And that decision that I've taken to put a stop is millions we send to the local authorities on a monthly basis for water. And you have some councillors who must be commended for taking a special interest in their division. They know what is happening. So when they ask for us to truck water and the water goes to the division, it goes to the people who needs it. Can't say the same for everybody. And I'm really disappointed that we have allowed, and let me just say, and former mayor, let me just say this one. The bill was there long before I became minister. The last matter I want to touch on. I came here this morning with one intention: to hand out these tablets and computers and leave. But then I asked myself a question: would I do justice coming here? As a minister of government, I have a responsibility to ensure that the work of government continues. Whether we have a by-election or we do have a by-election, the work of government must continue. Government can't choose when and where to spend money to improve social infrastructure for people across the country. Government should never be placed in a position that anything you do, you have to think twice because it is deemed to be buying votes. I don't know if as the minister, I want to release to the St. Mary Municipal Corporation your final drawdown and drain cleaning if I'm going to be accused of buying votes. If I don't know if I am going to be accused, but I'm going to be releasing to the St. Mary Municipal Corporation the final drawdown of the $1 million that is left, of the 500,000 of the 1 million that is left for the drain cleaning program. And this cannot be seen as buying votes, because if you can buy somebody vote, how much money, how much votes 500,000 can buy, man? It is, to me, it is totally unacceptable. I should never feel intimidated that I can't do what I need to do for the local authorities. And the question I want to ask those who are critical of the government's approach by fixing the Junction Road, I want to ask if the monthly allocation for the month of October that is to come to the St. Mary Municipal Corporation, if I must withhold those funds until after the by-election. Is that the wish of the council?
Not at all. As Omar did say, run with it.
Well, I'm not running with anything. What I'm doing is what is done on a monthly basis. Making resources which by law you are entitled to get. And I want to urge the people of St. Mary to understand that we have a responsibility. We were elected to serve the people to the best of our ability. And I don't want to be caught up in any argument about vote buying, because people will make their decisions based on performance. People will make their decisions based on what their conscience tells them to do. And this morning, let me make it quite clear, my being here this morning to deal with this is not a part of any electioneering. This visit was scheduled long before we know of any by-election in the parish. There are a number of issues that needs to be resolved. Number of issues that needs to be resolved. And I'm going to be making available to all councillors in the St. Mary Municipal Corporation that special drain cleaning allowance starting next week.
President, I applaud. Thank you. You're not happy for it. Me spend your one.
So, councillors, last year or early this year I announced a number of initiatives that deals with social intervention. The government have set aside some $90 million for indigent housing support across the country. We're going to be building 28 such indigent houses in all the 28 across the island, 2 in each parish. We're going to be providing assistance for registered indigent poor. And this $90 million is set aside for those who are registered indigent poor. And I want to emphasize and make the point that councillors can make recommendations, but it is the final call of the Poor Relief Department after investigation to make the determination as to the qualification of an indigent poor. So not to confuse the indigent poor money with your social housing money. If you want to say it is a part of buying votes, well, go ahead and say it. But I'm going to make the first drawdown of $250,000 for the social housing for each councillor in the St. Mary Municipal Corporation. So you are not confusing the indigent housing assistance with the social housing program. The burial grant and the education grant, you'd have gotten already the $300,000 for the education grant. And I've given instructions to the mayors and the CEOs that councillors can be advanced by the MCs for burial grant. So, Mayor, if a councillor make the request to you, you can advance it. So it is $200,000 for the burial grant. So the councillors can advance. You can advance for the councillors. All of these social programs are geared for those who need it and need it most. It's not for those who can afford it and have it. It is for those persons who are destitute. And it will go a far way in helping to offer some form of assistance, especially the social housing. And this social housing grant is not to be abused. It is to be used because there are strict guidelines, because we have to account for taxpayers' money. And the role of the Poor Relief Department in working with the councillors, working with the MCs to get these programs out is going to be very, very critical. So you have 3 sources now of funding that is coming to you in the month of October. You're going to have your regular PR, that is your parochial revenue fund money. That goes for your regular monthly programs. You're now going to get your final drawdown for your mitigation drain cleaning exercise. And you're going to be getting your first drawdown of funds for the social housing program. So I am hoping that the councillors here in St. Mary will make use of what is being provided so far. Last thing, I committed myself to the poor relief officers when we met in Portland. I think it was either late last year or early this year. Outside of the burial grant that you get from the source that you get, we committed to give each municipal corporation directly to the Poor Relief Department $1 million to supplement your burial program through the Poor Relief Department. And we'll be making that $1 million available to the St. Mary Poor Relief Department. That is not for councillors, that is for the Poor Relief Department to administer that. And Mr. Parson, you have to work with them to ensure that that monitoring is done. The other commitment that was given to the poor relief officers was to take you out of the backward days of a big book. Now, when you go on the road, you have to search, find pen and paper to store information. The complaints was that the department lacks computers, printers, and most importantly, the poor relief officers feel that technology is so advanced that they need to step up in life. So the commitment was to provide every poor relief officer in the country, is what, 89? How much of them? How much? 80, 89, 80, 89 poor relief officers right across the country with a tablet. Last month we presented the first set to Clarendon, and I'm here now today to present to the poor relief officers and the poor relief department a tablet plus computers and printers for the poor relief office for the Municipal Corporation here in St. Mary. Outside of that, another commitment, and yesterday at a place I note with consternation the fact that it was said that it was because of a resolution that was moved and sent to me why councillors are getting tablets. Well, with that, no go, sir. It is my concept to provide the councillors with tablets. Now, they used to talk about it. I don't talk about it. When I say I'm doing it, I'm going to do it. And this morning I'm going to be presenting the mayor and the councillors of St. Mary with a tablet. This one is not from the local authority. This is coming from the Ministry of Local Government. And to give the councillors the tablet is not just because you want to give the tablet. As a member of Parliament, when I went in my first term in Parliament, I got a tablet. And in the second term, I got another one. But it is to make the job of a councillor, to take the councillors down from the level where they are, to bring them to a different level, so people can look at councillors and treat councillors with the dignity and the respect that they deserve, because you are all elected representatives. And that is why, not just giving you the tablet alone, we have provided assistance for councillors to employ an administrative assistant to work in your office, so that you have people who can sit down and take information in your absence. You are elected to serve the people, and people want them councillors to look good. Gone are the days when councillors are seen as some village lawyer, some man in some community where chat long like me. And them say, send Mr. Harry go town councillor, man. Him now nothing else to do. And we have to raise the bar, lift the standards. And giving you the tablet, giving you the kind of support that you need will only make your job better. But equally, your job can't be better as councillors unless the administrative support is there to make your job better. You set the policies, they implement the policies, but they need the tools to work with. And the Poor Relief Department have been struggling. Well, you can't struggle no more. You can't say you don't do have computers. Can't say you don't do have printers, because we are doing that. The Amanda system that is critical to the existence of the local authorities. We're having a whole heap of problems with it. But again, I've taken the decision that the ministry will advance the funds to buy the necessary equipment to equip the local authorities. But you're not getting this one free, Mayor. We're going to get back the money over a period, because it is actually your responsibility to provide the equipment for the Amanda system and all the necessary things that makes the system work. But a lot of the MCs are saying, well, you know, them do have the money. Them have the money, but they don't consider getting the equipment as important. So we consider it important because it is one of the benchmark of the IMF that the local authorities, in terms of its approval process, service delivery, must be improved. And we're not going to sit down and wait. We're going to provide the equipment, all that is required. We have gotten your list. We have gotten St. Mary's list. They are not a part of the first three. You're not a part of the first three. But we have gotten the list. We're going to be providing all that is required, including the training. And Mayor, let me just make this point again. We have to put something in place that when the local authorities train anybody, after they get the skill, they don't walk out and leave the municipality and go somewhere else. So anybody know that we're going to train? We're going to train and rope them to get back what we're going to spend on them. And that is going to be critical based on all the things that are required to be done. St. Mary is one of those parishes that, based on what we have looked at, is critical in terms of the approval process, how the Amanda system is used, how the GIS system is being used, the mapping system. And let me just tell you, the system that is now being used by government will be able to identify how many drains and gullies and road networks, how many cemeteries that exist. These are information that are going to be of benefit to the local authorities. And one of the things that is of concern to me is that St. Mary is not a poor parish. But the question is, you don't know what you own. And that is why this system that we are going to be investing so much money in is going to take technology to a level at the local authorities that is going to make us, when we have rolled out this program, is going to make us a first world municipality in the region. I can only urge the staff to work closely with the political directorate. I can only urge the political directorate to work closely with the staff, because at the end of the day, if the politicians fail, the administration fails too. And if the administration fails, it means that the politicians will fail too. And some of us must remember that we don't have a seat like mine. And the former mayor.
In barely scripture.
Well, if he's even one, him win. That is what separates a lot. 265. That's a whole heap of votes. That's a big beating. But the point I'm making, councillors and members of staff, is that it has to be a collective response from all of us to ensure success.